Welcome to another action-packed, exciting hour of the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Rewatch Along Project. This is podcasting the way it used to be and the way you like it. This show is a production of the Something Else Podcasting Network, and it is episode number 118 of Smoky Mountain Wrestling from April 30th, 1994, taped April 4th, 1994, at the Anderson County High School in Clinton, Tennessee. My name is Arya. And joining me, as always, is the Kendo the Samurai to my Brian Logan. It's Trae. Trae, how the hell you doing today?
I'm not gonna do the show with you if you're just gonna insult me like that.
Would you rather have been the Brian Logan to my Kendo the Samurai?
That would be less degrading.
I don't know. I think both deserve a decent amount of blame for that match.
I have seen some fucking terrible matches. This, like, it was. I've seen matches that were technically worse. I have not seen a lot of matches that were just as offensive as this was.
It was so bad, especially when you consider that one of the people in the match was Tim Horner, who, for all the crap we give him, we always say Tim Horner is a good wrestler. Tim Horner was not a good wrestler on this show.
Well, it's not even like when you see the performance that he was trying to do as this character, you understand why that seemed like the right thing to do. It was just so fucking terrible conceptually that, oh, it was just, God, this was bad.
Tell me right now, could you do a better kata than Tim Horner?
I don't know, but I would politely demur if I were asked to do a kata on television.
Also, I mean, I guess we saw what happened when they brought in Jinsei Shinzeki the next year, but I'm like, we have a Kendo the Samurai on this show and Savio Vega as Quang on the WWF right now. Was it that hard to bring in an actual Japanese wrestler?
Uh they could have gotten what's his face with the arm again, Kimura, Wing Kimura. Hey,
I
here
guess that,
come.
Wayne, do you want to come in and get a push? You don't have to bleed nearly as much. It's like, I guess.
He would have anyway.
Yes. Imagine Wayne Kanemaru versus John Moxley.
I
They
and
both bla
I
they both bladed just thinking about that match.
I think that'd be
And they don't
great.
know why.
I'm also just sitting here thinking Wing Kitamura against the Dirty White Boy does not sound like the worst brawl I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, when we've seen some of these fucking matches on the show, nothing sounds like the worst brawl we've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah. So
Jim Cornette blocked me on Twitter this week.
he sure
Apparently, he
did.
did
Why did he do that, Arya?
he did not like the fact that I went to Twitter last week and pointed out that for all the complaining he does about all the bad wrestling that he claims to see on AEW, nobody fucking made him find the worst tall wrestler he could in 1994 and make him Prince Karras, and no one forced him to put Glub on TV every single week. Yeah, Doug Furness agreed to come in for two shots if Jim gave Glub his start in wrestling. Um, I don't remember that story being Doug Furness forced Jim Cornette to give him a push and give him the TV title.
Uh, I've always taken I think Sean Waltman said it best. It doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree or like or dislike Cornette. It doesn't matter if you're right and he's wrong. He is gonna fucking eviscerate you if you go with him. So why do it?
All you could say, I wanted some attention,
Yeah, well,
you know. But yeah,
right.
so sorry, Jim. I know that I deeply offended you by insinuating that you put something on TV that wasn't good. But Yep, sorry.
I I will maintain that we here at the Smoky Mountain Wrestling We Watch Along project probably have as fair and balanced an analysis of Jim Cornette as any wrestling podcasters.
Pretty much. I mean, w- I don't even know. Honestly, it doesn't even matter, and that makes us even worse because in this day and age, you need to have an extreme opinion one way or the other about everything. So you
Uh,
either have to extremely like Jim Cornette or extremely dislike Jim Cornette. So us, uh, being somewhere in the middle, that's not allowed, brother.
the
That
only
doesn't
the
work
only
for the internet.
the, the only extreme view that I have is an extreme commitment to the truth.
I thought they were going to pull a Matt Striker at December to Dismember and tell me about your extreme enforcement of the rules.
I still have never. The only parts of that show that I ever watched were the main event and the Hardy's Eminem match.
So you saw the only good hour of the show, and even then, like, the Elimination Chamber was not exactly, riveting, but, it was certainly
Yeah,
better than Kelly and Mike Knox versus Kevin Thorne and Ariel.
that sounds
That was
tremendous.
that was a real match.
Now did Kevin Thorne know who Mike Knox was at least?
I mean, he didn't pin Mike Knox in 5 seconds, so yes. And then because they ran out of people for the Sandman to wrestle, the Sandman had to come in afterwards and beat up was I think he beat up Kevin Thorne, even though like because Mike Knox walked out on Kelly. And that
It
was
should have.
when they finally broke up after 6 months after Kelly was obsessed over CM Punk. And then Mike Knox went off to do his thing. Kelly went off to do her thing, and CM Punk went and got buried. And the three of them never interacted ever again.
They should have done the rematch between the Sandman and the Zombie.
That at least would have ate up a couple minutes. Help put Stevie Richards versus Rene Dupree, which was the dark match on there.
Put fucking Stevie or fucking put Rene Dupree out there to get caned. Why not?
There you go. Believe it or not, there were people on that WWE ECW roster who were not on the pay-per-view. And imagine how bad you have to be to have not made the December to Dismember pay-per-view, a show that ended 42 minutes early. Uh, let's see, they had the FBI versus Sylvester Terkay and the Pope.
Oh, God. Oh.
That is definitely one of those matches that probably sounds better, like because it doesn't sound awful. I mean, Guido and Tony Mamaluke were a good team. The Pope is pretty good, and Sylvester Terkay was a great big guy. It was not a good match. Um,
Uh,
Davari managed by the Great Khali versus Tommy Dreamer.
oh
Because
my God.
that was when the Great Khali was banned from wrestling on television, so he became Davari's manager.
Wow.
then then he's banned from wrestling on television, and then when Power trips tore his quad, he immediately gets put on Raw. Like on the first night, he's wrestling John Cena.
You
Oh
know,
Lord.
I thought that was the moment that I, as what was I about 19, 20 at the time, and I was on board with the boo Cena sucks. When I saw the miracles that Cena got out of the Great Khali was the point that I was like, what the fuck are you people talking about?
Yes. I will still stand to this. John Cena's 2007 can hold up against most anybody's year. Especially in those 2010, in those 2000s, 2010s periods before match quality just went insane in the last few years. But
That
I
match
mean,
with
like,
Umaga, that match with Umaga
God,
might
yeah,
be one of the best matches in WWE history.
the last man standing match,
Yes.
yeah, that was fucking fantastic. And people always say, oh, Triple H was a better worker than John Cena. This person was a better wrestler than John Cena. The way I describe good workers is I look at who had the better matches against the same opponents. And you look at Triple H versus Umaga, Triple H versus the Great Khali, Triple H versus Booker T, and now compare them to John Cena versus Umaga, John Cena versus the Great Khali, John Cena versus Booker T. You know,
See, and I've always said that
I know
Triple
that makes it sound like
H.
I'm burying Booker T, but you know, Booker T, the most overrated good wrestler ever, but still, I'm not burying the guy.
Triple H had flashes of brilliance, but it's like Triple H was so self-indulgent that
Yes.
he only made other people look good when it was somebody he liked and he really wanted to. So he did a great job with Batista, but
Yeah.
then look at what he did with fucking he wrestled Kali and it was the shits.
Yeah. That's why I said Triple H versus Khali was not as good as John Cena versus the Great Khali.
No.
Like Triple H, and I mean, you said it, he's a very selfish person,
And
both in the
Cena,
ring and out of the ring.
and it
And
must be
John Cena,
acknowledged,
mhm,
Cena had errors in judgment that come off as self-masturbatory. The biggest example is the Nexus match at SummerSlam. But it's
oh yeah.
like uh, Cena never buried somebody through working with them the way that Hunter did many times.
I To this day, and I know the tag titles have always meant crap, especially in WWE, but the one I will never forget
London and
was
Kendrick.
remember. Yeah, the signature
Yeah.
pharmacy thing when like everybody was suspended, and so Triple H had to wrestle Carlito, and so they did a 3-on-1 beatdown angle on Raw where Carlito, Cade, and Murdoch were all beating up Triple H. Paul London and Brian Kendrick ran out for the save, and I don't even know if this was before they even made it to the ring, but I just remember Triple H beating up all three heels and then beating up Paul London and Brian Kendrick for making the save for him.
Yeah, that is what happened.
And then I remember like the only person I'm happy you're sitting down for this because I know you'll be shocked by what I tell you. The only person that he lost a match to for what felt like a year was he lost a cage match to Vince McMahon on Raw.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah. Good old power trips. Anyway, you know what show Triple H was not on? Smoky Mountain Wrestling, April 30th, 1994. Um, let's go to the intro with Bob Caudle and Les Thatcher.
Welcome to another exciting action-packed hour of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Professional wrestling the way it used to be and the way you like it. Hi, wrestling fans. I'm Bob Caudle along with Les Thatcher. Les, we got a great hour this week. We don't have to draw for our Beat the Champ, though.
No, we don't. Bruiser Bedlam is going to square off with a wild-eyed Southern boy, Tracy Smothers. That's a main event any place, Bob.
That is our main event, and that's our challenge match, our Beat the Champ challenge match for this week. We're going to find out more about the Volunteer Slam, and I tell you, I'm anxious to find out about the Dirty White Boy.
I am, too. I'd like to see what his condition is. And, of course, we have tape of Macho Man Randy Savage as well.
All right, and what about our personality profile this week?
On the profile, ladies, get ready. We're going to talk to those fine young sensations, the thrill seekers, on personality profile today.
All right, fans, that and a lot more coming your way during this hour. We're about ready to go. Let's go to the ring.
As we mentioned, that main event sounds pretty darn all right.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still annoyed about the
the
arbitrary
lack of a draw.
decision. Yeah, why is this allowed? I just wanted to explain. Bullet Bob Armstrong was interviewed like twice on this show, and you couldn't have him do a sentence about why he as commissioner has allowed this to go ahead.
Because we find out later Tracy is like a son to him. And when your son asks you for a TV title match, you're like, you know what? I'll let you have it there.
So Dixie Dynamite just never asked.
Exactly.
Hmm.
You know, Dixie Dynamite and his brother were trying to follow the rules and they were trying to, wait patiently for their shot. And their daddy didn't give them the shot. Hell, Dark Secret's never gotten a shot either. And we're not supposed to know that he's the road dog.
No, well, there you go. That's Tracy. Just
What
do whatever he
it's
wants. Might as well be a Von Erich in Dallas.
it's like Bob is trying so hard to show that he's not biased for his boys that he's holding them down.
Yeah.
Well, so this week we're gonna have the Thrill Seekers on personality profile. We're gonna see a video about the Macho Man Randy Savage, and hopefully, we find out the condition of the Dirty White Boy. I know
Hopefully.
you've been worried all week about the side effects of having Palmolive sprayed in your face.
I'm worried about the side effects of having to wrestle Prince Karras. Just not physically, just morally. I feel like you'd never be the same after having to suffer through
Morally,
that. Yeah, just never
how,
be right
how do you
again.
mean?
I feel like how soldiers who went to war they have like post-traumatic stress disorder because you go through just a really traumatic event in a short concentrated piece of time. I would imagine that that's what it's like to be a main event wrestler and have to get a match out of Prince Karras.
Okay, you did specify main event, but I'm like, this might be why Dirty White Boy and Tim Horner are such good friends. They bonded over shared traumatic experiences.
Yeah.
Um, so we get our opening match, Anthony Michaels and Bobby Blaze versus Timothy Well and Stephen Dunn. They are the team of Well Done. This was a long match. And if I knew what was to come, I would have wanted it to go about 4 minutes longer. But this was a long match, I thought. Which is funny because it
Arya,
really
how
wasn't that long looking at the timestamp. It was like 4 minutes, but it
30,
felt long.
3 minutes and 11 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wrote this was a long match. Uh, Mr.
I
Well,
I have grown used to a certain standard of tag teams in this territory, and Well Done ain't it. Like they don't even have the train wreck appeal of the Bruise Brothers.
uh, honestly, I hate to say it, but it's like I'm kind of wishing we get somebody get disqualified for kicking too much ass on this show.
I
Um,
would almost rather have the Moondogs.
it's kind of funny because we're setting up a feud with Well Done versus the Thrill Seekers. And for me, it feels like we have a feud between the replacement team for the Rock and Roll Express versus the replacement team for the Heavenly Bodies. And neither are as good as the teams they're replacing.
And also, the Rock and Roll Express are still the tag team champions, feuding with Candido and Brian Lee.
Yeah. Um, and I mean, I guess Well Done does stick around for a while. I don't think they make it through the summer though. Um, because they bring in the Heavenly Body. Spoiler alert, not that, this is a shock to anybody, because, I think most people know this. They bring in the Heavenly Bodies for the Night of the Legends. Um, but I don't know. It's like, I feel like this is one of those teams that sounds like they're better than they are. Like they were mainstays in Memphis for a while, and honestly, I've got no memory of their WWF run in '93 that I refuse to believe happened except videotape exists of it, but I remember their 95 run. But it's like, yeah, there's a reason why the WWF had them losing to the Bushwhackers, and it wasn't just because the Heavenly Bodies needed a break.
It's like physically, they're like big, impressive dudes, and they look good, but it's like
They
they're
don't really
a
have
less interesting high voltage.
their personalities don't pop.
They have not
And
popped me once.
and at least High Voltage had future WCW Tag Team Champion Kenny Chaos.
Yeah, high voltage were actually kind of fun.
Yes. They got pretty decent. Like they had well, I don't know, a run, but they had a bit of a spell in Japan and got pretty decent. And then WCW in cost cutting measure cut them.
Does Well Done ever get decent?
I think this is about as decent as Well Done gets.
Okay, well that's exciting.
Well, Mr. Well pinned Mr. Michaels with a variation of the elevated carpet muncher. Um, There we go. I knew I could pop you better than Well Done could pop you. Um, so Bullet Bob Armstrong is taking notes, and I don't know why, but let's go to Bob Caudle, who's with the commissioner.
All right, fans, what's shaping up to be, I think, the biggest day ever in Smoky Mountain Wrestling is the Volunteer Slam, May 20th in Knoxville. And here's Commissioner Bob Armstrong. That's going to be a day to be remembered.
It'll be remembered, and you can bet your life on that. Everybody knows already that the Macho Man Randy Savage is on his way to Knoxville.
Yes, sir.
He's going to take care of Bruiser Bedlam. But the news I promised everybody about the Dirty White Boy's title defense, I've got it finalized. The contract is signed. The Dirty White Boy will meet Jake the Snake Roberts.
Wow.
Now, that's a mean man.
Yes, sir.
He's hurt a lot of people. He's despicable. He didn't get that name Snake just given to him. He earned it because he's mean as a striped snake in a cornfield, if you know what I mean. He don't mind hurting you. And I believe this will be Dirty White Boy's toughest title defense. But, you know, the Dirty White Boy didn't have that title given to him either. He earned that title. It'll be the toughest test. And rather than just talk about Jake the Snake Roberts, we got some word from him. Why don't we take a look at it, Bob?
Education. Questions? Let's just see just how smart you are. It's people of Tennessee and Kentucky, Smoky Mountain. It's not going to be easy. I'll keep them real simple. Who was the man that dropped Andre the Giant? Who was the man that played with Randy Savage like a toy? Who was the man that made Rick Rude's life miserable? Who was the man that had Sting this close to quitting professional wrestling? Who was the guy that the WWF would not even think of putting Hulk Hogan in the ring with? Got it, Chet? Who was the man that invented the DDT? Who is the man that does exactly what he wants to? Well, we know those answers, don't we? The answer to those is very simple. The answer's the same. It's Jake the Snake Roberts. So that was easy. What I need to know is, who the hell is a Dirty White Boy? Oh, you see? She said he is the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Champion. Not for long. May 20th, the man will be Jake the Snake Roberts. Like it or not. And you won't.
All right, fans, with us right now, Commissioner again, Bob Armstrong, and the Dirty White Boy. Let's just hope this man here is in condition to really wrestle and be at his best against Jake the Snake.
Well, like I said before, Tony, it's going to be a tough test, but the contract is finalized. You've got to face Jake the Snake, and I know you didn't get that title easy, and I know you're a fighter, but you know Jake is a mean, mean man.
That's right. You're exactly right, Bullet. He is a very, very mean man, Jake the Snake Roberts, one of the most evilest and sickest human beings I have ever met in my entire life. I mean, it's bad enough to have to go up against Jake the Snake with two good eyes. Well, I'm handicapped. I got one. But Jake the Snake, no matter what it takes, one eye, one arm, one leg, it don't matter to me. I will be there defending this title. And I believe you've got a little piece of film showing what happened last week to people that might not have seen what happened. If you would, if you please show.
All right, and right now, let's go back and see what happened to the Dirty White Boy's eye. The reason for that patch, it occurred last week, fans. Let's watch it right here.
So first of all, who's the she that was in Jake Roberts' house telling Jake that Dirty White Boy was the Smoky Mountain champion? You don't think they sent Pam to go get this interview with Jake, do you?
You know, I hadn't thought of that, but maybe.
Also, did you notice Bullet Bob shooting here, talking to Tony?
Well,
White Boy.
Les has called him Tony Anthony before.
He has. Les has been on the show for like 2 weeks.
No, it was the like one of the other times when he was like subbing for Bob.
Okay. Well, even if he has, it's so infrequent that it's like I imagine there's at least one fan out there going, "Who the hell is Tony?"
Okay, well, yeah, maybe there's one fan out there going, "Who the hell is Tony?" But it's not like that's not anything that exposes the business. Fans who have been following and reading magazines know that Tony Anthony, the dirty white boy.
Hey, reading magazines is how I know the dirty white girl's name is Kimberly because
Right?
PWI used to call her the dirty white girl, Kimberly.
Well,
Speaking of Tony, don't ask me why I thought about this. Do you remember when Jim Ross had a WWF action figure in the late 90s and he was wearing the WWF Raw jackets they had the announcers wear for a little while?
yeah.
His jacket, instead of saying War Zone, said War Tony.
So bizarre.
It's also not important to ask why I had action figures of Jim Ross, Jim Cornette, um, Shane McMahon in suit, Vince McMahon in suit. I had a lot of non-wrestler action figures.
I had Vince McMahon in suit because it came with the Titantron Live. I had a cornet that I got from somewhere, and I had the announce table. I don't think I had the Jim Ross that was part of the same playset.
I don't think JR, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think JR came with the playset.
Okay, well
My tape,
maybe the cornet action figure
well,
came with
my
the.
table was the breakaway table that came with, I think, it was the WCW Scott Hall action figure.
It was funny. I had a referee, but it was like not at all scaled appropriate. Because it was oh, I want to say it came with a WCW action figure, and I
Was
want
it
to say
Kevin
it was a
Nash?
Kevin Nash, yeah, but I couldn't remember if that was the referee or the little Rey Mysterio, or was it both?
No, I was gonna bring up it was the little Rey Mysterio was with the Giant, and I only know that I only remember
Okay,
that because if you remember his neck, you could move his neck up and down so it would fit. You could fit the Giant's hand around Rey Mysterio's neck
yeah, okay.
for the
So
choke slam.
the referee was Kevin, did come with Kevin Nash.
And I thought it was Charles Robinson. I thought it was very proportionate to Kevin Nash in a way.
No, it was I don't know, but I just imagine the referee from WCW NWO Revenge. It looked just like him.
Do you remember a few years before the ones we're talking about, because we're talking about the same set of action figures, because each of them came with like an extra. Scott Hall came with the table, the Giant came with Rey Mysterio for some reason, Kevin Nash came with a referee for some reason. But do you remember a few years before that, they had the vibrating WCW dolls?
I don't know. That was you got to. I didn't start until like 1999, 2000.
Okay, well, I didn't know if they might have still been selling them, but it was like
Yeah, I don't remember
Lex
seeing
Luger,
them.
Kevin Nash, Sting was probably in there. Hogan was probably in there. He had a little button on the side you could hold in and make your dolls vibrate.
Do you
And
remember? Do you remember the one with magnets in their fists?
yes, yes. I
I
had DDP and Raven.
okay. I had Goldberg and somebody,
Maybe Hogan.
but Goldberg and Hogan, I think. Yeah.
Maybe. I think Jericho came with Malenko.
Was that the set that Jericho's girlfriend bought at Toys R Us and it rang up as Sting and Hogan?
Yes, probably. And funny thing is, like, I remember because I used to go to Toys R Us and KB Toys a lot to buy action figures, and every WCW action figure I got rung up as Hogan. And I can tell you, I did not buy 50 Hulk Hogan action figures.
That's wow.
Yeah, and and
So you can confirm this story.
oh yeah, and to me, I was 13, 14 years old at the time, so to me, it was just kind of funny that they always rung up as Hulk Hogan,
Oh.
even though it wasn't Hulk Hogan.
It wasn't
And like
very
it
funny to
never
the
occurred to
guys.
me, yeah. It never occurred to me that this was fucking up people's royalty checks or anything. Because, when you're that age, you don't think about that shit.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even want to know how we got here. I guess me bringing up the Jim Ross's action figure said War Tony. Yeah, I've been looking at
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, for the people bitching about this, because the only time we ever get comments are the people bitching about how we go off topic. I've looked at the fucking viewership numbers. Nobody's fucking listening when we stay on topic anyway. So we might as well have fucking fun with this if nobody's going to listen to it anyway.
Yeah, but in addition to having fun, we also got to talk about the rest of the Dirty White Boy promo.
Yes, we do. White Boy has a giant bandage over his eye, and we saw what happened last week where he beat Prince Karis by hitting Prince Karis with his own forearm, and then the post-match where Kendo the Samurai sprayed Palmolive all over White Boy's face, and somehow it only bothered one eye. My theory is he tried to wash it out, and the problem is Palmolive is soap, and so if you try washing it out, it just becomes sudsy, and you fucked it up. White Boy. Maybe this is why White Girl hasn't been around in a few weeks because, White Boy is doing stupid shit like this.
Well, what are you supposed to do if you get soap in your eyes?
Well, what? Well, putting it underwater seems like a really bad idea because it's going to get sudsy.
What are you going to put it under? Fucking ketchup?
Sure, why not? Maybe get a towel and try to wipe it out or something. I don't know. But I'm picturing White Boy. I'm picturing White Boy sticking his face under the spigot, and suddenly his face not exploding, but a giant pile of suds suddenly appearing where his head used to be. If Facebook was a thing in 1994, I'd fully expect White Girl to have a picture posted of White Boy with his head covered in suds.
I can't believe we're having this conversation.
Oh yeah, of all the conversations we have on this show, this is the one that's too much. Anyway,
no matter what you get in your eyes, you still use water first.
So let's go to a Dirty White Boy promo that's 65 seconds long, and approximately 12 of these seconds would air on a television show in 2025. The rest of it would not. Let's go to that now.
Dirty White Boy, of course, we didn't have any idea what that was, were you going to be permanently blinded or what, but that was a despicable act.
Well, the doctors don't know. I've got to wear this for, a few more weeks, and I can't get any sunlight to it or anything like that. But what happened was I got Pearl Harbored by a slanted-eyed, sock-wearing-nothing-happening geek. Now, boy, you come over here to the U.S. of A. and start trying to blow something around out of your mouth, trying to get rid of all the Americans. Well, it won't happen because you're looking at the top dog in the Smoky Mountain area. I worked long and hard for this title, and I'll be damned if I let somebody like you and that little bitty closet queen, Daryl Van Horn, get the better of the Dirty White Boy. So like I said before, you cinch it up and you bring your army on. Because the White Boy don't back down from nobody, and Daryl Van Horn and that goofy, stinking Jap, we got a saying in East Tennessee, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and I'm going to kick your ass.
All right, fans.
Oh, boy. So, Peacock, and by extension the WWE Network, has 10 episodes of Smoky Mountain Wrestling up. And the point of the 10 episodes are basically just 10 Chris Jericho episodes of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. This episode is one of the 10 that are on there. Now, keep in mind that Peacock, this is the same Peacock that will not air things like the DX Nation parody because of the blackface, will not air Bad News Allen versus Roddy Piper from WrestleMania 6, will not air one of the episodes of 30 Rock for the same reasons, and I am not justifying blackface in any way, but I am saying that this promo is on Peacock, uncensored. which has me believing that nobody at Peacock has ever watched Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and nobody in the WWE vault has watched this either.
This was a babyface promo in East Tennessee in 1994.
Yes, it was. Oh boy. And as you mentioned to me earlier, he cut a very xenophobic promo on Tim Horner.
That made it.
And I guess that makes it less racist that he's doing it to Tim Horner.
But nobody knows it's Tim Horner.
It'd be better if it fucking was Horner.
I mean, I guess.
Oh Lord. So yeah, he talked about being Pearl Harbored by this Japanese wrestler.
I'm trying to remember the story. It was like when the ECW guys were like went to do one of the FMW things.
God. Yes. Yes.
And
I know what you're going to say.
I'll Pearl Harbor you, and then you Jap me.
And everyone just stops. Oh Lord. So yeah, this was a very 1994 promo here by the Dirty White Boy, who's in the middle of two feuds. He's going to be picking. Well, I guess we didn't talk about this the first time because we went off on a tangent. But Jake Roberts is on his way in. There are people who turned the show off because like 15 minutes ago they announced Jake Roberts, and we were talking about Goldberg's action figure.
Look, nobody who actually listens to this show listens for a good show. They listen for us to be us.
I disagree. I say we're a very good show. We're just we have difficulty staying on topic.
It's true.
That's why these shows go 2 hours long.
Yeah.
But yeah, White Boy is going to be feuding with Jake Roberts on the big shows, in theory, and Kendo the Samurai on the small shows. I did laugh that Bullet Bob said that the Dirty White Boy didn't have the title handed to him. Just remember that in about 6 weeks or so. 7 weeks, maybe. Spoiler alert.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Phantom title change, what?
Jake Roberts had his head on straight at all times.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. OJ is getting really mad at Nicole right now.
Ooh.
There's like 2 people who got that reference. Oh, okay. No, okay. Everybody got that reference. There's like 2 people who understand why I brought it up.
I took the journey with you.
Yeah. So then I'm gonna butcher this, but I'm gonna try. Sandararu Rakurai. That is allegedly the Japanese translation of thunder rolls and the lightning strikes.
That was better than anything that happened in this match.
I figured it would be.
Arya,
so
I don't want to be dramatic, but this match was the worst thing I've ever seen.
This week or in general?
I actually wrote I miss Glub.
Yes, Glub was not on TV this week. So the match is Kendo the Samurai, who, as we've noted, is Tim Horner with Darryl Van Horn in his corner, versus Brian Logan, who is at least a competent jobber. Horner was playing with nunchucks before the match, and I was so mad because I wanted him to hit himself in the groin with it. He didn't.
Unfortunate.
Then the bell rang, and any enjoyment that we could have possibly gotten out of this match ended the second the bell rang to start the match. Tim Horner is a lot of things, but a martial artist is not one of them. We're informed that Brian Logan was not prepared for the martial arts style of wrestling, which was being said as Horner was using an elbow drop. And again, if I knew this match was coming, I would have won it well done to go an extra 3 or 4 minutes. But Horner did the worst kata perhaps ever seen on television. And then he did a finish.
Boy, did he.
And
this was a finish.
Again, this aired on television. You know, this apparently was what it was supposed to be, because as we've noted, when they fuck something up, we get a shot of the audience. We did not get a shot of the audience. We got a close-up of what happened. The finish. The finish saw Horner do Meng's Tongan death grip, but from above. Because, you know, Meng would shoot up with the fingers underneath the chin. Horner went down from the top of Logan's head underneath his chin. And then with Logan crippled, I'm like, okay, well, it's not the greatest submission in the world. He's doing it weird. But I'm like, okay, we're giving Horner a submission finish, something that's hard to fuck up. Okay, it's all good. We're seeing a guy with a stomach claw in the main event. The Tongan death grip, we'll call it a win. That's not the end of the finish. Instead of Brian Logan just tapping out, or because tapping out wasn't a thing yet, verbally submitting, Tim Horner slapped his hand away. And when I say he slapped his hand away, I don't mean he slapped Brian Logan's hand away. I mean Tim Horner put on the Tongan death grip, slapped his own hand away, and got the pin with that as a finish.
Stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen.
And you sitting at home maybe going, well, come on, Arya, wrestling's fake. You don't really want him slapping Brian Logan in the face, right?
Yes, I do.
Well, I don't want him to actually slap Brian Logan in the face. And we can argue about how there's a way to make it look like you're slapping the guy in the face when you're not really. But the one thing you don't do if your intention is to slap the guy in the face and you accidentally slap yourself in the wrist is call a replay with a close-up of it. They zoomed in on the replay, and you saw clear as day the intention was Horner slapped his own wrist with his hand as the finish. What was this supposed to be?
I wish I knew.
If this was a shoot, what is that accomplishing? Are you saying, oh, well, you know, Horner is digging in the fingers to the neck and he's slapping his hand away so it's slicing his fingers across the guy's throat? I just made that move sound kind of interesting, but that's also not what happened.
There's no redeeming this.
I'll tell you what, in 6 weeks, if that move is fucking over, I will apologize.
I can't imagine that Kendo the Samurai is still going to be here in 6 weeks.
I think he's here till the end of July.
Fuck.
Well, if it helps, he's probably not going to be on TV every single week the next 3 months.
When does Mrs. Horner yell at Cornette?
I think it's the end of July. So I think it was right before the Night of the Legends.
All right.
Plus tells you everything you need to know because, to the best of my knowledge, Horner was not figured in for Night of the Legends. So it's not like, you know, oh, they're missing out on a top guy here or anything.
No, nobody missed Tim Horner.
Not even Tim Horner. Hey,
No.
he's got a screen printing shop. He can worry about that.
There you go.
So, let's now go to this is where I noted that Savio Vega's in the WWF as Kwang, and now we have Tim Horner as Kendo the Samurai. Is it really that hard to get a Japanese wrestler in 1994? So from here we go to a Darryl Van Horn promo, which somehow Tim Horner off to the side playing with his nunchucks is less exciting than the standard Tim Horner promo. Let's go there.
All right, an impressive debut there for Kendo the Samurai, Daryl Van Horn. I got to ask you, that hold when he put the opponent right out, some type of nerve hold, I think, in the neck.
Just the first of many to drop here. You know, I told everybody I was bringing in Kendo the Samurai and that he was going to make big, big changes in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Who was the first victim? None other than the Dirty White Boy. Yeah. Dirty White Boy, you like to come out here and huff and puff with that big baritone voice. You know, I bet you're a big Lee Marvin fan, but your cornbread and collard greens wrestling ethic did you no good because you thought you'd gotten through Prince Karras, but you found out that the Van Horn organization is just like a hydra. If you cut off one limb, 8 more will come to take its place. This man right here, get the camera in on him, you idiot. This man has the speed of a cat. He can't be stopped. He is the mighty Kendo the Samurai. People are going to get hurt, but worst of all, the Dirty White Boy is walking around. You can't see, you know, he's kind of like Popeye or maybe even Paul Morton. Well, Dirty White Boy, you're not worthy to be a champion. You know, you got that bald head and those big bosoms. You kind of look like Dolly Parton without her wig on. Well, like I said, this man is changing wrestling. This man is going to be the next Smoky Mountain heavyweight champion because if Jake Roberts does not stop you, Kendo the Samurai surely will.
Don't go away, fans. We'll be back right after this.
Trae, I have a serious question for you, and I ask you this as a cat owner. And I know you're a cat owner. I'm a cat lover. You know, I think most people listening to this, you know, love cats. If Daryl Van Horn's cat is moving as quickly as Tim Horner did in that match, should Daryl Van Horn be taking his cat to the vet?
I would. You remember Sting's theme? He's big as a bull and he's quick as a cat. Yeah.
Yes. He does this and he does that.
He does this and he does that.
Yes. Oh, was that it? Or I thought you were going somewhere with Sting.
Oh, well, I was just thinking, you know, because I talked about Astro Peach and how he fits that old Watts Rossism. He's not quick, he's sudden. I think I don't think Sting was as quick as Astro Peach.
To be fair, I mean, has Sting ever raced Astro Peach?
Has not.
Okay. Daryl Van Horn is not long for this world. I don't know how much longer he lasts, but I'm pretty sure he's gone well before Horner is.
Oh, wow. Terrific. You know what would be really funny?
If Kendo the Samurai cuts a promo?
No, I said funny, not horrific. No, if Daryl Van Horn left and Jim Cornette took over managing Kendo the Samurai.
That would be funny.
He could have said he was Yokozuna's cousin or something.
He found him at WrestleMania walking around New York City.
Yeah, well, he found him when Yokozuna wrestled Randy Savage.
There you go. That makes it much sense as anything else. So up next, I think it's important to note that there's a commercial for the Volunteer Slam, which features they announce all the matches, and it's all the matches you think are going to happen, including an announcement of Well Done versus the Thrill Seekers. Now, you might be wondering why I'm asking that or why I'm pointing that out. Let's go to Personality Profile, which happens after the commercial break with Les Thatcher and his guests, Chris and Lance, the Thrill Seekers.
Welcome to Personality Profile, and on today's profile, we're going to talk to Chris and Lance, the Thrill Seekers. And you guys have cut a wide path through Smoky Mountain since you've arrived. It has been just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, you know, we just got here to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and we would just like to say that so far,
all of the fans in the entire territory have treated us like this is our country, and we would like to say thank you to everybody, because everybody's been real good to us and made us feel really at home, you know?
All right, great. Of course, there's been a lot of top competitors come out of Canada. I know you guys are trying to follow in those footsteps right here in this area. Ronnie Garvin, for many years, was the top dog.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stars coming to Canada. We've came to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, where a lot of great tag teams are. So Chris and I are hoping to make our mark in a tag team situation, bringing the Canadian wrestling down here to the United States, adapted to the style here, and we're really happy to be here. The fans have treated us great.
That's great. And, you know, mentioning the tag teams, there's a great lineup of tag teams. Of course, Rock and Roll Express have got those belts, but Candido and Brian Lee and yourselves and, oh, wait, hold on a minute here. And speaking of great tag teams, now, you guys don't have an interview here. You know that.
Hey, we got an interview because we say we got an interview. Let me tell you something. It's real simple. Ever since we've been here at Smoky Mountain Wrestling, these guys have been dodging us, and we ain't been getting the fair treatment around here. Now, we've been on the WWF, we've been all over the world wrestling, and we get no respect. And I think it's time we get a little bit of respect. We got a list right here, and my partner's gonna read it. And you're gonna listen, and so are you. Shut up! Let me tell you something, Mr. Announcer. We got a list right here.
Can you read it?
Every top wrestler, yeah, I can read it. I can read it. We want some music videos. That's right. Everybody's got music videos. We ain't got no music videos. We want some big contracts. Everybody's getting the big matches. Rock and Roll Express. Shut up. Everybody's getting press releases. These two clowns right here. Big party when they're coming to town. Everybody's got interest music. We ain't got no music. We got music. We don't have no music. We ain't got no music. We don't have. They get these interviews up close and personal. They're getting the money. We want some of the pie.
Excuse me, which one are you? Are you Beavis or Butthead?
Not now.
You know, let me tell you guys something. Maybe the reason why you guys don't get any of these things on your little list is because maybe you guys don't deserve them. You guys have been around, but as far as Smoky Mountain Wrestling goes, maybe you haven't been working hard enough, getting out on the streets and deserving these things that you want. Everybody else, the Rock and Roll Express, the Thrill Seekers, everybody else has went out and worked hard for these things that you want, and I ain't seen you guys do nothing but sit here and whine and complain about it.
Well, let me tell you something. We've been chasing you two flying squirrels all over Smoky Mountain. That's right. Now, I'll tell you something. You think we don't deserve it? Anytime, anywhere, we don't care if it's right here on TV. We'll fight you guys, we'll beat you two punks, and we'll show all your stupid fans just what kind of no-talent little punks you are.
You know, I think that's what ought to be done.
How about it? Next week, huh?
You guys want a match against us?
That's right.
How about next week? The Well Done fights the Thrill Seekers right in this ring. What do you think? What do you think?
Chris, hang on.
Oh, I guess you're scared, huh?
I think you should check with me on stuff like this. I think you should ask me if we're going to get in here next week and fight them.
All right. Lance, do you want to have a match against Well Done next week?
Well, I'm afraid my answer is not going to be yes, but hell yes, next week.
All right,
Next week, right here. You better get ready. You better get ready.
All right, that's it for Personality Profile. Next week, it's Well Done against the Thrill Seekers.
Lance is so uncomfortable being a excitable young babyface.
Boy, is he. It's, this is not to his strengths.
No, it's not.
Southern wrestling babyface.
So do you think Mr. Well or Mr. Dunn consulted a lawyer after Chris Jericho had his list gimmick? I'll be honest, Jericho seemed quite offended about Mr. Well and Mr. Dunn having a list. And, you know, he made that a thing in 20 years.
Well, you know, Chris Jericho invented Mr. T's mom.
Yeah, yes, he did. You know, Chris and Lance are so nice. Chris thanked the fans for making them feel like home here in this country. Lance talked about how great it was to be in Rocky Mountain Wrestling. You know, Poor Lance. But by the way, to continue my theory that Les doesn't know which thrill seeker is which, he did not even name either of them at any point during the promo. Um,
Well, it's still the first taping.
yeah, yes. Again, you think he could write on his hand, Chris equals blonde, Lance equals black. Oh, that could have come out really weird if he wrote that on his hand. Um, How came, like I said, Timothy Well and Stephen Dunn, they are the team of Well Done, and they're mad that the Thrill Seekers have been dodging them, which I guess shows that they did not watch the commercial for the Volunteer Slam either. Um, they want music videos. They want entrance music. They are mad about not having music. They want some of the pie. And they tell us, the Thrill Seekers tell us, that everyone except Well Done gets out on the street and earns what they get. I'm afraid to ask Jericho what he does on the street to earn what he gets.
Uh, yeah, I like to know.
Yeah. Well, next week we're going to have The Well Done versus the Thrill Seekers, and Lance said hell on TV.
He sure did, naughty boy.
Yes. He's not too old to put across our knee, Sonny Jim.
No.
I never thought about this before, mostly because, like, how often does Lance ever wear a shirt on TV? But he's got, he was thick, or maybe he's just wearing the right shirt to really show off, his shoulder development. But like, I'm like, man, Lance looks fucking jacked today.
Yeah, that was yeah, it's a trick of the time. He was wearing an appropriately tight early 90s t-shirt to accentuate his muscles.
Also, was there no other hot TV shows at the time other than Beavis and Butthead? Like, I know this is a few years before South Park, but Jesus Christ, Jericho is managing to get Beavis and Butthead in on every promo that he cuts.
I absolutely believe that that may be the only current television show that 1994 Chris Jericho watches.
I believe it. I wonder if he was a fan of Daria. Yeah.
Hey, Daria was good. My wife is a huge Daria fan.
I love Daria. I am not besmirching Daria at all. Like, I just rewatched the episode in the last season a few weeks ago with Daria and the big refrigerator box. Legit tears. And mind you, I cry about everything. It's the side effect of having pumping yourself full of estrogen. But that is a legitimately sad episode of television.
Yeah, I don't know. I never watched it that much. I was aware of it. I wasn't allowed to watch Beavis and Butthead, so I what I would do is I would stay up all night on like the weekends and watch it when it came on at like 2 in the morning.
That's tremendous. I'll be honest, as I liked music. Don't get me wrong, I liked music, but I hated that they kept cutting to music videos. I wanted to watch the show.
Me too, and I like that. That was never really my kind of music anyway. But I appreciated like the new Beavis and Buttheads, like the modern streaming ones, where they're doing like not just music videos, but like TikTok and viral videos and stuff is fucking tremendous.
I never saw the new Beavis and Butthead, so maybe I'll have to check it out.
They're actually really good, and the Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe movie, very, very good. Like, even as
Yep.
just, if you look at that purely as a sequel to like the 90s movie, it's a very good sequel. And the new episodes are very good. They're a little different, but then there are still the ones that are like, okay, this is really authentic Beavis and Butthead.
Hey, there were two spin-offs of Beavis and Butthead. You had Daria and King of the Hill.
Oh yeah. King of the Hill
Every,
isn't a roundabout way a Beavis and Butthead spinoff.
yeah, people forget that. Um, all right, so remember the first promo with Bullet Bob cut on TV. He was taking notes. What do you think he was taking notes for? I think he was doing one of two things: either judging Bob Caudle's introduction of him, or writing a letter to the Observer about his issues with the Smoky Mountain board of directors.
He was probably writing down which one was well and which one was done because they had just wrestled.
There you go. That makes as much sense as anything else. Anyway, Bullet Bob is out and he's not taking notes this time, which I guess makes sense if he was notating which one is well and which one is Mr. Dunn. But one sec.
Yeah.
Let's go to Bullet Bob now, who's going to introduce something that doesn't air on Peacock. Let's go to that now.
Commissioner Bob Armstrong with us, and Commissioner, not too far off now, May 20th, Volunteer Slam, Knoxville. What a day that's going to be.
The biggest and the best. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody knows Jake the Snake is coming to town to try to get the title, but he's got a tough man. Although he's hurt, Dirty White Boy can still get the job done. And my man, Macho Man's Randy Savage, I'm going to have the best seat in the house, standing in his corner and hoping that James Cornette sticks his nose in because I'll be open for business. And rather than talk about it any longer, let's hear from the Macho Man himself. And like I said before, oh yeah!
All right, fans, watch it right here.
All right. So basically he pitches it to first a match with the Macho Man Randy Savage challenging then WWF champion Yokozuna for the WWF title. This was before WrestleMania 10, obviously. I think it was the March to WrestleMania show that they used to do. And did you notice who the color commentator was with Vince?
Was it Ted DiBiase? That's who it sounded like.
No, it was Harvey Whippleman.
Oh, well, he does have a kind of similar kind of. Yeah, I heard it, and I kind of knew the timeline. I assumed it was DiBiase, but that makes sense.
Yeah. This was, after Heenan left, and they until like 95 when Lawler began doing it every week, they did not have a regular color commentator doing Raw. It was basically like whatever wrestler is kind of available. Because if you go back and watch those 94 Raws, Rush does it, 1 week. Bastion Booger does commentary. I know Shawn Michaels does it a couple times. It wasn't too bad at it. I know you're shocked that Shawn Michaels would do something wrestling related and it wasn't too bad at it, but still. But yeah, Lawler doesn't become a thing until like 95 on commentary, at least on Raw, because I think him and Vince do Superstars at this point.
So it was like the English feed on New Japan World. It's just the play-by-play man and whatever wrestler is available.
Whoever Walker Stewart can drag on the other side of the curtain.
It'd be great. Vince McMahon and Drilla Maloney doing commentary.
I thought you were going to say Vince and Zack Sabre Jr.
Oh, that would be tremendous.
I know I don't understand a word of Japanese, but it's like every time Yano is on commentary, I keep wanting to switch to the Japanese feed. Because, I don't know, Yano can make anything interesting, I think.
It's funny, if you watch old All Japan, the big matches, you'll always hear that real deep voice that you don't understand at all, but is Giant Baba.
I didn't even know who you were saying, but I'm like, I bet that's Baba.
Yeah.
By the way, so I don't know why Cornette wasn't at ringside for the start of the match, but Savage and Yoko are fighting, and in the background, you see somebody in red and white running to the ring. I thought it was Brother Love until they showed it was Cornette. I'm like, why is Brother Love running in on this match?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think Corny stole from Bruce's wardrobe for this show. Savage had the title won when Crush ran in for the DQ, and they didn't. Well, because they may have mentioned it, during the real show, but obviously Smoky Mountain doesn't really need or want to air that. But it's like, I guess the story was if Savage would have won, then he would have been in the matches at WrestleMania defending against Luger, and then the winner defends against Brett. Whereas, because my 2025 my first thought was, why did Crush just cost himself a shot at the title at WrestleMania? So I'm like, he's wrestling Savage, so Savage is the champion. He gets a shot at the title. But I'm like, well, they probably told the story that if Savage won, he would wrestle Luger instead and all that shit.
Yeah, those contracts are already are already signed. I am actually glad that you laid it out for me because I did not realize the timeline. And I was like, oh, Crush and Savage are still feuding after WrestleMania.
And I actually remember this match. It was like February 28th, 94, I think was the air date. Don't ask me why I remember stupid, very specific shit like that. Just take my word for it that I do. I would like to point out once again, because when I pulled up the Smoky Mountain show on Peacock, it was like 38 minutes long, and our version of the show was 44 minutes. And I'm like, okay, they edited out the dirty white boy. But as I was fast forwarding, they had in white boy, and I'm like, where the hell did they edit out of the show? They edited this match out.
Why?
I don't know.
This was their footage.
I know. And they also edited out Tracy Smothers' entrance, which I would understand because it's real music, except everybody on the fucking show has real music. Maybe the Confederate flag?
Entrance?
No.
No.
Because it goes straight into Bruiser Bedlam's entrance.
No, the Freebird shit on World Class has all the Confederate flag shit.
That's true.
I don't care about that.
So who knows? Maybe it was too hard to cover up the violin music.
Fucking WWE are actually in bed with the Trump administration. Do you think they give a fuck about Confederate flags?
Well, to be fair, this show has been up on Peacock for like 5 years now, so
they were in bed with the last Trump administration too. They just didn't.
I know they were. I'm trying to, because I'll say it again. Like, at least when Vince was in charge, even though you knew what side of the aisle he was obviously on, he did not flaunt his political leanings. He was smart enough to know that you don't alienate your audience, at least with politics. He wasn't smart enough to know you shouldn't alienate your audience with shitty booking, but he at least knew to keep his personal feelings, to the side. If only he would have taught that to Hunter as much as he taught him how to be spiteful towards other wrestling companies.
Oh, he did. He did not need to teach Hunter how to be spiteful.
Shocking enough. All right, so let's go to first a Macho Man Randy Savage promo, followed by a Jim Cornette and Bruiser Bedlam promo.
I'm ready, willing, and able. Yeah, Knoxville, Tennessee. Look out. Yeah, red light alert, because the Macho Man is coming to town. Yeah, and I'm going to be ready. Yeah, do you understand that, Bullet Bob? I'm the man that you chose, and I'm flattered. Because, not only because of your problems with Jim Cornette, but I have the same problems, too, in the World Wrestling Federation and that killer. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Jim Cornette. And I'm talking about the guts and the gall that you got to take a guy called Bruiser Bedlam and to think that you're going to get the first base on me. Well, I got a problem with that. Yeah, and I'm calling you on the cop that, yeah, May the 20th, Knoxville, Tennessee. The Coliseum's going to rock and roll. Yeah, it is. And Bullet Bob Armstrong, you're going to be real proud of me. Yeah, you are. When that music plays and I walk down that aisle, it's going to be all macho madness. And Bruiser Bedlam, you're going to wish that you were any place. But right there at that particular time, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, get ready. May the 20th, look out. Yeah.
All right, fans, you heard Commissioner Bob Armstrong. You heard about the Macho Man Randy Savage. Bruiser Bedlam right here. Jim Cornette. Hey, Commissioner's going to be across the ring. He's going to be in the corner of the Macho Man.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be in the corner, all right. Maybe he can help carry the Macho Man out afterwards. Because you see, Bob Armstrong, you can't get back in the ring. You can't get your own revenge. I got you barred. So what do? You go out and you get this big-time WWF superstar. Try to take a page out of my book. Randy Macho Man Savage. Well, I got news for you. At the Volunteer Slam on May the 20th in Knoxville, there's going to be 2 superstars carted out of that ring. Randy Savage and Bullet Bob Armstrong. Now, Randy Savage, I've had some dealings with you in the WWF, and I didn't much like it. Because what I think you are is a Grateful Dead Jerry Garcia lookalike. I don't know whether it was Vietnam, World War II, the Korean War, or maybe even World War I. But you're shell-shocked, punk. You have a tendency to go off. But I got news for you. Brother, oh yeah. When you get in the ring with this man right here, you're going to tackle something the likes of which you've never seen. He's bigger than you, better than you, and stronger than you. And the only reason he's never beaten you is because he's never been in a ring with you. But I know, Bruiser, that you've been around people just like this Randy Savage. What did you used to do with him back in Detroit, huh?
You know, Jimmy, when they come in the Ford plant, they try to bust the lines. I bust their heads. I take a hat like his and stick it in his ears. Because he ain't nothing but a scab. Armstrong's a scab. You're all scabs. Hold this mic up, punk. Do what you do best. That stand and look stupid.
I think I'm talking to you. Try you.
You want to try me, punk?
Next week.
You better not, punk, because you're not that thumb. Anyway, I am the toughest man, Jimmy. I'll fight anybody. Macho Man Savage, you're a punk. Smothers is a punk. Armstrong, all you people are punks. I'll try y'all. I'm the baddest man around.
That's exactly right. Let me just say this to Randy Savage and anybody else listening. This man is a sadist. He enjoys pain, both giving and receiving. There's no way to stop him. There's no way to hurt him. And his strength has no limits. So Randy Savage, the Volunteer Slam, you come on down to Knoxville, where you're going to meet your Waterloo, and then maybe the Bullet can pick up your tattered hat and your broken sunglasses and that feather that sticks out of the side of your head, and he can cart you off with the trash just like he's going to do with anybody that faces Bruiser Bedlam.
Ooh, don't go away, fans.
So, Trae, please correct me if I'm wrong. And again, you know, we both watched this show. We listened to it, listened to the promos here again. Did Bob Caudle just accept a match against Bruiser Bedlam for next week?
Hey, you know, Bob's finally sick of this shit.
I think Bob is getting a shot at the Beat the Champ title next week.
Well,
I think Bullet Bob needs
apparently you can just get one now.
Yeah. Bullet Bob needs to put his foot down. These people giving themselves TV title matches. You know?
Oh, yeah, I have a trivia question for you.
I hope I have a trivia answer for you.
Okay, based on the best information available. Okay, at this time, before the Bruiser Bedlam match, who was Randy Savage's last opponent in Knoxville? And I will give you the hint that it is someone who was mentioned on this episode.
By us or on Smoky Mountain Wrestling?
On Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Okay. It was somebody who's mentioned on this episode. Okay. So, okay, is it somebody who was on this episode of Smoky Mountain Wrestling?
I didn't say that.
Okay, so we're specifically, it's not somebody who's on the show. I'm pretty sure it was not. I'm pretty sure it was not Prince Karras. Let's see here. Was it Jake Roberts? No, he was on the show. There are not a lot of people. Oh, let me go through the list here. I don't think it was Andre. He didn't wrestle himself. I don't remember him ever feuding with Rick Rude. And he wasn't in WCW yet, so it wasn't Sting. So it's either Hogan or Andre. I'm going to guess Hogan.
Ron Garvin.
Interesting.
December 26, 1982, Chilhowie Park, in a street fight for ICW.
If you wouldn't have said that, I would have guessed Lawler.
Yeah, no, this was I don't think he ever would have worked the Knoxville in with Lawler. No, the thing was so Ron Fuller had bought the Knoxville territory in 75, 76 and ran it for several years. And then there was the thing in 79 where Bob Root, Boris Malenko, Ron Wright, and Ron Garvin, I think, were trying to they essentially tried to steal the territory from Fuller. And then what ended up happening was that Fuller left and just moved the whole territory to the Pensacola end, and then the Roop group, if you will, kind of merged with the Paphos ICW, and then I don't think that they were running the Coliseum, but they did run Chilhowie Park.
Okay, you popped me for the Roop group. Well, Bob Roop, I think you're still alive. I know you were on the Dark Side of the Ring a few years ago. You need to come back to wrestling so we could book you as the leader of the Roop group.
There you go.
Okay, so did you notice this is the second time this week someone on one of these shows talked about another wrestler being shell-shocked?
I must have been in the news for some reason.
Well, 10 years apart because Buddy Landell said it on Mid-South.
Oh, that's right. Oh, you're right. Well, maybe Budrow was reading about, World War I soldiers in the hotel rooms at night.
Where's the Ryback when you don't need him? I love that Bruiser Bedlam's promos, in addition to just threatening people who are looking at him, he's constantly talking about union busters and things of that nature. I'm like, he's really in the wrong business for wanting to be in a union.
I like Bruiser Bedlam. I feel like what he adds to these promos is tremendous.
Like his voice doesn't really match his look, but somehow it does. Like if that makes sense at all. Like
you expect it to be gravelier, and it's not. It's just like, I don't know. He looks like a guy that you would overhear him and then try to pick a fight, and then he stands up and you piss your pants.
It's like his voice both is not scary and also super scary, because it's like, oh fuck, this guy with a soft voice, he got made fun of for that voice when he was growing up, and he beat a lot of people's asses for making fun of him for having that voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think when Jesse was trying to put together a union back in '86, he went to Johnny K-9?
He should have.
It's possible the WWF would be unionized today if Jesse had hooked up with Johnny K-9.
I love Jesse Ventura for a lot of reasons, but the thing that Jesse Ventura did that hit the most for me had absolutely nothing to do with wrestling.
What was that?
When he was the governor of Minnesota, the state of Virginia made a formal request for the return of a battle flag that the first Minnesota infantry had captured from a Virginia regiment at the Battle of Gettysburg. And Ventura responded, "Why? We won."
Pop.
Love it.
Oh, Lord. I never thought I'd approve of politician Jesse Ventura so much in my life.
I know, right?
All right. So I wrote Jesus fucking Christ another promo because I think it's important to note that if you take out the commercials, we are now at 16 straight minutes of promos, and we're about to get another one. And I guess Randy Savage wrestled Yokozuna there in the middle, but I know it's technically a match, but I don't really count it because it wasn't a Smoky Mountain match.
No, I agree.
So, but then it's like, when you think about it, like the rest of the fucking show, much like when you watch World Class, who would you give more minutes to? Who would we have given more minutes to on this show to have a longer match? I guess the main event would have been better with a few more minutes, but at least I'm talking about the undercard matches.
Yeah.
Anywho, let's go to Jesus fucking Christ, a Rock and Roll Express promo.
All right, fans, with us right now, here they are, Smoky Mountain Tag Team Champions, four-time World Tag Team Champions, Rock and Roll Express. Rick, we got to talk about this Chris Candido and this Big Brian Lee.
Well, Bob, I was sitting back here thinking, and I was watching the monitor early.
You know, you got Brian Lee out here. They got him telling him everything. He's got the big head. He's stepping in the ring thinking that he's a superstar, and he don't know what he's even getting into. And then here you got Chris Candido that will get lost in a phone booth. He's back here trying to tell Brian what to do in the ring, and one of them knows what to do. And now you got Tammy Fitch.
Oh, yeah.
She's sitting back here getting all the money, don't have to worry about none of the problems, and think that she's looking good. But you know, Bob, it all comes down to this. You see, Robert and I have been down many, many roads, and every highway we took, it led us straight to the top. You see, guys, you're just another tag team that's coming out these Smoky Mountain Wrestling belts. But a lot of tag teams has tried it. Just ask Jimmy Cornette. We went through several of them with him. And the same thing's going to happen to you. All we're going to do is say goodbye to you. All right.
All right now, let's...
I gotta say, it was a long time to say, we're gonna say goodbye to you. I guess Ricky Morton is a very polite young man.
Well, very, very. Now, but he did not let us know if they were there to stay or play, though. So I was.
He didn't threaten to sexually assault Tammy Fitch this week.
Well,
but he did.
That.
He did call Big Head Big Head. So I mean, I call it a good promo here. He got in Big Head, and he didn't threaten to sexually assault anyone.
Okay, see, I was very confused when you said Big Head, because to me, Brian Lee is Horsehead, Big Head is Bill Watts.
God damn it. I fucked up. All right. Apologies to Horsehead.
Shut up, Horsehead.
He does have a really big fucking head, too.
He sure does. He sure does.
Maybe that's why he was a good underfaker, you know? He did have Mark Callis's 32-pound head. I call him Mark Callis instead of Mark Calloway.
Same difference.
Yeah. All right, so it's time for our main event. It is Beat the Champ TV champion Bruiser Bedlam with Jim Cornette versus the wild-eyed Southern boy Tracy Smothers. For some reason, this match began, and Les started talking about well done again, because why not? And Les said he wants a big money contract like well done. And I'm like, well, Les is going to be here until episode 200, so maybe he got his big money contract. Because well done aren't going to be here till the end, but Les Thatcher sure is.
There you go.
While I'm thinking about it, did you see that Tommy Noe posted the notes for the Super Bowl of Wrestling on Twitter?
I did not.
I think I retweeted it. I'll have to tag you in that later.
All right.
So Bruiser kicked out at one point and almost flung Tracy out of the ring and onto the cameraman, which is definitely a different way of bringing Tracy into your home through television. But thankfully, Tracy's such a nice guy that even though it caused himself greater pain and suffering, he basically maneuvered his body so he bounced off the ropes and landed back in the ring instead of going through the ropes and landing on the poor cameraman. Bruiser went up top for what I'm assuming was a Phoenix Splash, but he slipped off the top rope.
It was funny. I was literally, I had just finished writing that maybe Bedlam wasn't the most polished wrestler, but he's fine in there with Tracy. And then as I was typing that, he tried to come off the top rope and just ate shit.
It's funny because, like, if they would have talked about it, like, you know, people, especially when you're not used to jumping off the top rope, people have misjudged how far to jump since the beginning of time and through today. Like, I remember the first episode of NXT Season 4, Johnny Curtis, Fandango, they talked about how he does this great top rope leg drop. And this is his first main roster match, for lack of a better word. And he goes up top, and he's supposed to miss. Well, he missed because he flew past his opponent by about 3 feet. So it happens. But if they wouldn't have said that, he slipped, I would be like, okay, he misjudged it. He went for like a headbutt or a splash because Tracy rolled out of the way. So obviously, whatever he was doing, Tracy was supposed to roll out of the way. And so it was like, well, he went for something and he didn't jump far enough. But then they basically mocked him for slipping off the top rope, which, considering it's Bruiser fucking Bedlam, Trae, I don't know about you, I would not be mocking the man for slipping coming off the top rope.
I would absolutely not mock Bruiser Bedlam for anything.
Yeah. Tracy hit the jaw jacker, but Bruiser kicked out, which was, I think, the first time on TV anyone's ever kicked out of that. Tracy went up top for another, and please correct me if I'm wrong here about what happened. But Jim Cornette hit Tracy in the foot with a tennis racket, and Tracy fell off, and Bruiser pinned him.
That is what happened.
Okay, I didn't miss something. He didn't, like, something else didn't happen. But after the match, Bedlam slaps on the stomach claw when suddenly a flannel shirt flew across the ring, and shirtless Bob Armstrong runs in for the save. Jim Cornette sacrificed himself to get a punch in the face from the Bullet, which let Bedlam take over on Bob and put him in the stomach claw. Tracy hit Bedlam with the racket thrice before finally breaking the hold. Cornette threw powder in Tracy's eyes, and eventually the Thrill Seekers decided, I guess Jericho must have been friends with the Bruiser already, because Jericho apparently was not in fear for his life as him and Lance ran in for the save.
Bonus points for thrice.
Thank you. So I know you'll be shocked with all the hilarious jokes I've told you over the years, but when I was growing up, I had a bad joke book. And there was a joke where it was a conversation between a teacher and a student, and the teacher told the student to use the word thrice in a sentence, and the child said, "When the bride and groom came out, we thrice set them."
Oh, little Johnny.
Yes. So I liked this match. I liked they found a way to keep it going because, again, Tracy's not really doing anything right now, and Smoky Mountain's version of Hulk Hogan sure is kind of floundering at this point, and so I like that they're moving him into a program with Bruiser.
Yeah, it was exactly what I called last week, that they're doing Smothers is working Bedlam at the house shows that they don't have Randy Savage for.
And it's funny because, so Jake Roberts is coming in to wrestle White Boy and have a feud with him. Macho Man Randy Savage is coming in to wrestle Bruiser. However, because neither of them are going to be here full time and Savage is only here for the weekend, we have to have other people feuding with White Boy and Tracy. So we have them both in two feuds.
Yeah. You should. You should have your talent involved in different things. So they've got, because you got to move people in and out of programs.
What was that 6-man you were talking about last week?
Okay. So the 20th in Knoxville, they do the Bruiser Bedlam Randy Savage match. The 21st in Morristown, they did Randy Savage and the Rock and Roll Express against Brian Lee, Chris Candido, and Bruiser Bedlam. And then on the 22nd in Marietta, they did the Dirty White Boy and Randy Savage versus Jake Roberts and Bruiser Bedlam.
Now, I'd want to see those two matches for sure. I was thinking, do a 6-man here with Tracy, White Boy, and Macho Man versus Horner, Jake the Snake, and Bruiser.
Yeah, that sounds tremendous.
Well, it sounds tremendous if Kendo the Samurai learns how to work between now and May 20th.
I just think it'd be funny to watch Randy Savage wrestle Tim Horner as a fake samurai.
What do you think would be worse? Savage having to wrestle Kendo the Samurai or Savage having to wrestle George Goulas?
Daddy says sell.
Daddy say you sell for me, please? We're going to have a picnic. For a picnic and have sandwiches.
Oh.
Oh,
Go to
Lord.
bed, Georgie.
I'd like to believe that Nick Goulas was still telling Georgie to go to bed when George Goulas was a quote unquote star wrestler for Nick.
I believe that completely.
Um, well, let's go to somebody who's definitely not George Goulas. Let's go to Tracy Smothers to end the show with a promo.
I hope you can see. I hope whatever that was, cornet through in your eyes didn't blind you.
Mr. Cottle, what I just saw happen, you guys can beat on me all you want, but when you do what you did to Bob Armstrong, that really makes me sick, man. He helped me get started in this sport. He's been like a second father to me, like my stepfather. Me and his son, Steve Armstrong, were the wild-eyed Southern boys for 5 years, and we went to hell and back. And to see that happen to a man like Bob really gets me going. I can already see right now. Bruiser Bedlam, you're the strongest man that I have ever been in the ring with. And I know it's killing the Bullet not to be able to get back in the ring now that he's back again as the Smoky Mountain Commissioner. What I'm doing, Mr. Cottle, is I'm volunteering to take that spot, to take those bookings, because Bruiser Bedlam, things look bad for the home team right now, but the ball game's not over till the fat lady sings. And by the good grace of God, the South will rise again. Thank you.
All right, fans, next week right here.
I gotta say, what bookings does Bullet Bob Armstrong have? He's the commissioner. He should not be booking himself into matches.
Well, apparently he was before the board stepped in and said that he couldn't abuse his power that way.
Before Mark Curtis and Sandy Scott grew a spine.
Yeah.
I always think every time he talks about him and Steve being the Southern boys, I think about how WCW made them become the Young Pistols from Cheyenne, Wyoming, to make them less Southern. Which, how do you make Tracy Smothers and Steve Armstrong less Southern? And then the Tracy's debut promo on Smoky Mountain, he's like, I've never been to Wyoming, and I'll be honest, I don't think I ever want to go there.
Oh, poor Cheyenne, Wyoming. They're always getting the short end of the stick. But at least they got a world title change and ready to rumble.
I was going to say, when the hell did Cheyenne, Wyoming get a world title change? And he threw in the Ready to Rumble thing. I mean, Triple H beat Mankind in Iowa for the WWF title. His first WWF title win was in Ames, Iowa.
That is the most significant event to ever happen in the state of Iowa.
And that was the same year, because WCW had Nitro and I think Bismarck, North Dakota, that episode where Sting beat DDP for the title and then DDP won it back in a four-way.
Fargo.
Okay. Fargo, North Dakota. I love that you knew that. You knew that Bismarck was not the answer.
It's true.
But I asked this. I may have asked this on the show a year ago, and I know I asked it on social media, and everyone's like, "Well, you can't do that now," yada yada. And I want to know why. Why have we never seen a live show from either Alaska or Hawaii? It's become obvious that you could run these shows at any time, and people are going to watch a live show. Now, it might be hard, to do a Raw or a SmackDown when it's like, okay, you got to do this live in Alaska at 3 p.m, and people have to go work and all that shit. But it's like, I would watch a pay-per-view live from Alaska or Hawaii.
Yeah, do a pay-per-view from the South Pole, and the audience could be fucking penguins.
Okay, that's being ridiculous. But tell me why they can't have a live television show. It isn't, and I'm not even saying who. WWE, AEW, anybody. Why can't they have a television show from Alaska or Hawaii?
They can.
Those are pretty much.
Here's the thing. They can, but why would you?
Because everyone is like, oh, it's a first time ever. I would bet you could pop a pretty good house for the first ever live pro wrestling national televised show from Alaska or Hawaii. Hell,
I think
if it's WWE, like, fuck, you could have it in Hawaii, and Dwayne will come on and be like, "Oh, my grandmother and my grandfather used to promote here in Hawaii, and let me get that woman who played my grandmother in Young Rock, and she can come on and, do a tribute to my grandmother too, and yada yada yada."
It is very expensive to ship those sets.
Yes, it's too bad they only get several $billion on all those TV deals.
Yes, Arya, if they wanted to,
I
they could spend a lot of money just for meaningless gestures just to say that they did something. And sometimes that they do that, that doesn't mean it's a good idea to do it more.
think anything could be a good idea to do it more. I oh well.
Okay, why don't you go watch some more fucking Kendo the Samurai matches? If you think everything's a good idea to do more.
I bet he gets better at being Kendo the Samurai. I have more faith that Tim Horner can figure out how to have an acceptable match as Kendo the Samurai than I'll ever believe that Tim Horner can figure out how to cut a good promo.
What we should do is send Tim Horner to Hawaii to wait for that live show.
By the way, Dynamite is coming to Boston the Wednesday before Full Gear, and I told Aubrey that I need to get in touch with the arena booking department of AEW, because that's the week before Thanksgiving, and all those days off are booked by other people. And while I can obviously go to Dynamite or I can go to Full Gear without needing an extra day off, but I get out of work at 5:30 and driving into Boston for, a 7 o'clock show start. I mean, it's for Ring of Honor, but still an 8 o'clock show start. It's not that fucking easy. If they would have had it a week before, I could have taken a couple days off, gone to Dynamite in Boston. I could take off the Friday and go to Full Gear in New Jersey and, be able to chillax. Instead, these fucking arena people, they're booking the wrong weeks. They're not consulting with me first. Just saying.
Yeah, they're sure not. They're sure not. It's very unfair of them. I don't know
Maybe
what the deal is, but could you not theoretically just take off at
call up sick.
3:30 on a Wednesday so you have a couple extra hours? Like, can you not do partial days or?
You still have to be approved for it, and basically those days are all booked up for people wanting them off. Now I am holding out hope because, people put in for these days because we put in for our days off a year in advance. So it's very possible that there'll be people dropping off because they've already used up their PTO for the year. So I'm holding out hope that I can squeeze, because I've still got a couple days left for the year. I'm holding out hope that I can use a couple in November.
I'm holding out hope that I can squeeze together the money to go to Dynamite and Collision in Houston in November.
Dynamite! I think the fucking one in Houston is the week that it should be in Boston.
Well, it's in Houston.
So 118 down, 82 to go. We are 59% of the way through Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And before we finish up, we talk about what else is happening in the world of wrestling. And we mentioned last week that the trial for former WWF jobber Chuck Austin was going on. Well, the trial is over, and Chuck Austin has got the biggest win of his career, winning $26.7 million in his lawsuit against Marty Jannetty and the WWF. Now, the WWF would later appeal this decision, but settle out of court for $10 million.
Well, that's still a pretty decent payday.
Yes. And apparently Marty Jannetty was responsible for $500,000 of that.
You think he ever paid it?
I say there's a half decent chance they at least paid some of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Obviously, you'd have to ask Marty, who is probably not in the best shape of mind to ask these questions of. Plus, can you imagine, let's say Marty Jannetty was doing a meet and greet, going up to him and going, "Hey, Marty, did you ever pay that guy the $500,000 they owe him for paralyzing him off the rocker dropper?
I don't want to ask Marty Jannetty anything for fear of what else he'll confess to.
I had sex with my daughter.
Oh my
Like
god.
that's good to know, Marty, but that's not what I asked you.
Oh.
I don't know if I'd really say that's good to know, Marty, but I try to be polite. Um, so other big news from across the pond, the second straight Wrestling Dontaku show that would have a moment that have long-term effects for WCW. So the first Wrestling Dontaku show was when Hulk Hogan cut the promo talking about how the WWF title was a trinket and a toy that he could easily win, but the IWGP title that the Great Muto held, that was the belt he wanted. And in a roundabout way, that helped steer Hogan towards WCW. This year, Sting took on Rick Rude for the WCW International World title. Sting did an over-the-top rope dive. Rick Rude caught him and fell off the ramp, the little ramp or the stage that they had there, and he cracked his back on the side of it and ended his career. And to the best, I don't know if he wrestled after that, but pretty much his career was pretty much over at that point.
Yeah, he's done. Now, they vacate the title at Slamboree like what, a week later, 2 weeks later.
Yeah, and they do another Sting Vader match, which, spoiler alert, Sting and Vader have a good match together.
Yeah, so yeah, reliable.
Yeah,
we'll see if Rude wrestled again after that.
I think he gets credit for an ECW 6-man tag that. Yeah, he was technically in a 6-man tag at Heatwave 97, where he was the Sandman and Tommy Dreamer's mystery partner, taking on Jerry Lawler, Rob Van Dam, and Sabu. And what happened was he came to the ring. It was a cage match. He got in the ring and immediately turned on Dreamer and walked off. So it was technically a match in that there was a match, but like he doesn't.
Yes,
I don't count it.
The match with Sting in Fukuoka was his last match, except for that one.
He was allegedly training for a comeback in '99, though, when he passed away. However, Wrestling Dontaku had a dream that turned into a nightmare match as Satoru Sayama, in perhaps, I think this was his first match like in years at this point.
Yeah.
He came out of retirement to take on Jushin Thunder Liger, and apparently this was like one of the big draws of the show too. And according to Cage Match, this was his first match since September 11th, 1985. So almost 9 years later, and he had a mat wrestling match with Jushin Thunder Liger that went to a 10-minute time limit draw, and the crowd was not happy with that.
Yeah, it was. If you watch Sayama in the early 80s, that motherfucker was so incredible. Like, just, he moved in a way that you never saw anybody in a wrestling ring move before. And just, if he hadn't had the fucking shoot style fetish, and if Inoki hadn't been fucking him around on his money, God, it's such a shame that we really only got like a couple of years of peak Sayama, because I have said before, if you watch wrestling from the 70s and then you watch wrestling from the last 30 years and you wonder, with all due respect to Max, if you wonder what the missing link is, Sayama is that missing link, like the bridge from pre-modern wrestling to modern wrestling.
He was our moves guy that inspired a generation.
Yeah, and the moves were incredible, but he had such incredible kinetic control that he could do anything. By the way, that Liger, in a trivia note, is the only person to have wrestled all 4 generations of Tiger Mask.
Nice. So this may not be the perfect comparison because, to be fair, I haven't watched a whole ton of Tiger Mask, but the way you describe him reminds me of, peak Mystico. Like,
Yeah, that's a good comparison. That is a good comparison. Um,
I remember when Mystico went to WWE before all the shit went down. But like when he just started and like he's doing his flying, and I'm like, he's not flying, it's like he's floating. Like I know that doesn't make any sense, but it's like he was floating to the ground when he would jump off the top rope. And
yeah,
like it was a very spectacular when
yeah,
he wasn't being held. I want to say held down because he had his own issues, but he also didn't have anybody to work with at the time. They put him fucking in the ring with Chavo. You know,
yeah, and Chavo's a good worker, but Chavo was not a luchador.
but he's
Chavo
Hispanic,
was
so
an
that meant he's a
entire
luchador.
right. Yeah, that was the assumption. But no, Chavo was like he was entirely American style trained wrestler. But
Like he,
Sayama, yeah, Mystico is a good comparison. I always think of like, Eddie Guerrero just kind of had that incredible smoothness. Just looked like he was born in a wrestling ring, which like wasn't
hmm
that far off. Like, he might as well have been born in a wrestling ring. It's just
hmm
that level of smoothness and kinetic control.
Um, by the way, going back to Mystico and WWE, I think like honestly his best match was the Evan Bourne no countout match that they're supposed to do at Taboo Tuesday when Mason Ryan won instead.
Yeah,
Um,
man. It's been really cool to have the last few years to kind of through AEW and New Japan to kind of get back into Lucha Libre, more than I ever been, and really get the chance to appreciate Mystico because like Mystico's awesome.
yeah. I'm just happy like he was able to pretty much redeem himself after that disaster of a run.
Yeah.
Um, and by the way, the last kind of major news story, like I had to reach to get to three this week. The Head Shrinkers beat the Quebecers for the WWF Tag Team titles on Raw this week. And what was notable about it, and this tells you how well the WWF was doing and how much money you could make in the WWF in 1994. Jacques Rougeau was quitting so he could go home and open a gym.
Huh.
Yeah, he could make more money staying at home and operating a gym than being the WWF Tag Team Champions in 1994.
Business weren't good.
It was not. Which is funny because like 95 was so much worse.
Yeah.
It Do you think like if Vince McMahon could turn back time and would he have agreed to Scott Hall's conditions to stay in the WWF in 96? Because Scott Hall in 94 made about $450,000-$500,000 in his spot as Intercontinental Champion or feuding for the IC title for all of 94. And then in 95, he pretty much made half of that for pretty much the same exact spot. And since Vince had no interest in turning him heel, which I think would have been a good idea because he was really fucking lacking on the heel side in 95, um, Scott Hall went to him and was like, when they were negotiating the contract, one of the things Hall was trying to get was, let me split time between here and Japan, and I can make the money with the two deals together than I could working for you because, business was down. And Vince didn't want to set a precedent, and Hall went and made a shit ton more money in Atlanta. Do you think if Vince could have gone back in time, he would have agreed to Scott Hall's ideas? Because I mean, in theory, Hall left and Nash left because of Hall, or not maybe because of Hall, but Hall definitely was a strong deciding factor.
Uh, According to Nash, the term that Scott used that got his attention was sting money.
Yes.
Yeah. But to answer your question, no, I do not believe that Vince would have changed anything. I think that Vince is rather happy that he ended up having ultimately even more control over the talent in the long run.
I guess that's one way to look at it. I was thinking more like 96 and early 97 when they're losing their ass.
Look,
And
I know Vince McMahon is a bad guy, and I am not an apologist for him at all. But these people that say he wasn't a genius at what he did are like, that's just the moral absolutist trying to cope. Vince was not short-sighted. That's one thing you cannot say about Vince. He thought about business. He thought about what was going to be best for his business in the long term.
and I will say this, while you can argue, did Vince McMahon truly make any stars like because he saw something in them and developed them versus people he either signed up during the expansion or just kind of lucked into? I guess Warrior, but I mean, when you look at it, like Bret Hart was not being groomed for a top spot. Steve Austin was not being groomed for a top spot. Mankind was not groomed for a top spot. The Rock, yeah, was being groomed for a top spot. Um, Jeff Hardy was not being groomed to be a top guy. It's like he got a lot of very popular wrestlers. I don't want to say by accident, but it's people that he was not grooming for a top spot that, you know, got super popular and took a top spot.
I think that again is one of his strengths, that when people got over, he went with it. Now there are things like, yeah, he was spiteful and like fucked around, Zack Ryder and people. But when Zack Ryder wasn't gonna fucking main event WrestleMania anyway. When talent that he did not think was going to get over got over, it and could draw money, he went with it. He gave Mick Foley. He gave Mick Foley what Mick Foley earned.
I think, like, you mentioned Zack Ryder and him fucking with Zack Ryder. I think the one person he really dropped the ball with was Ziggler. And obviously it's impossible to know where Dolph could have been if Jack Swagger didn't kick him in the head as hard as he could that time. But you didn't have to immediately take the title off of him the second he came back. You didn't have to immediately drop him far down the card as soon as possible. They spent a while building up that Dolph Ziggler finally wins the world title thing. It happened. And then there's a reason nobody talks about anything else Dolph Ziggler did, at least as world champion.
And I was going to a lot of shows in the years after that, and it took them a hell of a long time to give up on Dolph Ziggler. People really liked him.
He was a very likable person. He had kind of a weird finish, but hey, it worked for him.
I still don't understand what Gato was thinking last year with him.
I was going to say, in regards to what? I mean, there's a lot of. I don't understand what Gato was thinking.
And it's not even. I don't know. It's not even that Nemeth was bad. He did. He's a good enough worker. He's probably. I wish that he had his run outside of WWE 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was just bizarre that he comes in and beats David Finlay for the global title. And then, there's the thing where he's supposed to wrestle Tanahashi on, Sakura Genesis. And then Tanahashi was injured. And then he ended up, Nemeth ended up staying in the U.S. to work, WrestleMania weekend. And then he came back for, 1 weekend and he beat Tanahashi. And then he lost the title back to Finlay and then was never seen again.
Honestly, that's I don't say that's a lot of ghetto booking, but like ghetto does that a lot where it's like you bring in somebody or you repackage somebody and the first thing they do is win a title. And sometimes it works. Like, with Kenny Omega, for instance, that's the one I thought of. Like, because, hey, I didn't know who the fuck Kenny Omega was. I'm like, why is this old man with a broom coming to the ring? Because that's when Kenny had the partially dyed gray hair.
Yeah, well, there are people who say it was the AAA thing because New Japan has the relationship with CMLL, and maybe it is. I just thought that was kind of weird because it's like CMLL's deal is that their deal with New Japan is that New Japan only gets Mexican talent from CMLL. Like CMLL has never really cared about foreigners that work for AAA working in New Japan. I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe it was the thing, but it was weird.
Oh, well, so we've gone 2 hours. Some of it
Oh,
we
we sure
talked about
have.
Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and we had fun doing it.
Yeah.
But that's gonna do it for this week's show. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. We'll be back next week, and for the next 82 Thursdays at the very least. But Mr. Wisecarver, thank you again for another great week of shows.
You're welcome.
I was fully expecting a Miss Whitner in there. But all right. So thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Goodbye, Miss Whitner.